Nigeria's COVID-19 recoveries rise above 154,000 after discharge of 70 coronavirus patients across the country. Nigeria Communications Commission says ongoing national identification number registration exercise will afford the country a credible citizen database. In international news, India now world second most COVID-19 infected country, surpassing Brazil. And in sport, Odion Igalo boycotts social media over racism.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Nigeria has discharged 70 COVID-19 patients on Monday, bringing the total number of recoveries nationwide so far to 154,177. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC also confirmed 44 fresh cases of the virus in 4 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Total number of infections in the country now stands at nearly 164,000. One COVID-19 fatality was also recorded on Monday. Enugu tops the list of 4 states with 22 new cases, followed by Lagos with 15. The Federal Capital Territory recorded 4 new cases. Osun and Kaduna had 2 and 1, respectively. Many Nigerians have been questioning the wisdom behind requiring the whole country to register for a national identification number and why it is necessary after all the other IDs they already hold, like the bank verification number and international passport. Well, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has shed some light on that. During an NCC special day on Thursday at the 32nd Enugu International Trade Fair, Executive Chairman of the Commission, Professor Umar Garba Dambata, said the NIN registration will provide the country with an opportunity for a credible citizen database that would help improve national security. He also spoke to telecom consumers on their rights and privileges in the sector. He said the Commission has in place some regulatory initiatives to protect, inform, and educate consumers. There was drama on Monday in the House of Representatives when the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Atairu Ibrahim, who was appearing before the ad hoc committee investigating arms procurement, refused to apologize for his failure to honor previous invitations to appear. He, along with Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, had failed to show up for previous respective late March and early April invitations. He said different internal security engagements prevented his presence. He also did not comment on the report he had submitted to the committee, instead referring them to the executive summary. Many angry committee members said the Chief of Army Staff should speak under oath. 2 market fires to report this evening. One occurred at Bodija Plank Market in Ibadan, where millions of naira worth of property was destroyed on Monday night. Oyo State Chief Fire Officer Moshood Adewuyi said a wing in the Plank Market was affected and that no figure had been assessed for the damage and merchant losses there. Just 2 weeks ago, another fire incident at the Agodi Gate Spare Parts Market in Ibadan consumed millions of naira worth of property. In another fire incident on Monday, 30 shops out of 354 were engulfed in a fire in Oro Central Market in Oro Town in Kwara State. People carelessly burning refuse were blamed for the inferno. The rest of the 324 shops in the market were saved by firefighters. Fire Service Director Prince Falade Olumuyiwa has advised state residents to always be conscious of fire safety, so in-season fire outbreaks in the state will be drastically reduced. The Bauchi state government is going to try again where other states have failed. It is going to conduct a head count of commercial sex workers in the state. It says this would give an accurate date on them. Permanent Commissioner in charge of Hisbah and Sharia implementation, Malam Aminu Balarabe Isa, said in Bauchi during a sensitization workshop for commercial sex workers, the exercise would help the commission to take measures that would discourage the sex workers from continuing with their trade. He said the government will organize empowerment programs for the sex workers and provide them with funds to start small-scale businesses. He also said the state government is ready to organize mass marriages for those of them who were, quote, lucky to get serious suitors, end quote. A representative for the sex workers, Hashatu Azara, said they were willing to leave the sex trade if the government would do what it says, empower them economically. She described the condition of the sex workers as, quote, pathetic.
Coming up, African stories. Egypt to demand $1 billion compensation for lost revenue during one-week Suez Canal blockade. And later, international news. India, now world's second most COVID-19 infected country, surpassing Brazil.
You are watching
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Egypt is not taking the Suez Canal's one-week blockade lightly. The country says it may demand a $1 billion compensation for revenue lost while the massive container ship Ever Given was stuck there. Correspondent Adu El Marouki has the story.
Egypt says the ship that blocked the Suez Canal last month will not leave the country until the investigations are over and the compensation agreement is reached. All of the Ever Given data logs, captain communication recordings, and mechanical instructions have been retrieved. Experts say the investigations are not designed to determine who is responsible. Rather, they're analyzing how the grounding happened.
However the investigations unfold, marine law states that the ship's captain is responsible. When the canal's guide boards the ship, he becomes part of the captain's crew. Therefore, the company owning the ship, and in turn the insurance companies it contracted, are going to pay the compensation. The investigation's purpose is learning what happened so as to avoid similar incidents in the future.
During the 6-day blockage, the canal lost nearly $15 million daily in transiting fees. The cost of the grounding extends to include tugboats, dredgers, and manpower used to float the ship.
There is also the rescue reward, which is a maritime custom. The Suez Canal team was extremely professional in the rescue mission. The ship was saved without any damage to its body or any malfunction, which is rare in such cases. The daily revenues of the Suez Canal are not only from the transiting ships, there are also additional services provided to ships. All of this is being calculated and negotiated with the insurers. No figure has been reached yet.
Litigation could be complex though. The vessel is owned by a Japanese firm, operated by a Taiwanese shipper, flagged in Panama, and was heading to ports in the Netherlands. That could see the ship stay with its cargo for months if the dispute goes to international arbitration. Earlier, the chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, Osama Rabia, said compensations could go over $1 billion.
Taking into consideration the financial losses and the cost Egypt paid for the rescue, experts believe the compensation will probably be much less. It's still going to be a decent amount. Expectation is it is going to be a 3-digit figure in millions of dollars.
Tunisia has begun a program to help school dropouts to get another opportunity to access education. Like many countries that have developed same programs, Tunisia is offering hope to school dropouts through second chance schools. Correspondent Adnin Chawochi reports.
The Minister of Education pointed out that thousands of online applications for enrollment in the second chance school had been submitted. Tunisian authorities plan to reduce the number of school dropouts in the next 3 years.
This is a very important initiative. The Second Chance School will help the Education Department save school dropouts from the streets. The students are aged between 12 and 18 years. They can either return to the formal education system, join vocational training facilities, or launch their own projects.
The Education and Vocational Training Department have appointed qualified teachers and a competent staff to teach and manage the school.
Our objective is to prepare students for professional integration. A group of teachers, educational counselors and trainers, as well as psychologists, accompany the students to find their way and start a successful career.
Sirine lives in a neighborhood where many children have abundant education for personal, social or economic reasons. She views the second chance school as a life-changing experience.
I have been confused since I left school. I watched the news on television on the second chance school, then I registered and joined the adventure to change my life. Here, I can realize my dream by becoming a makeup artist.
Bilal is a learner who will graduate in 2 years after completing the Advanced Vocational Training Certificate.
I am proud of this experience because I'm learning new skills. I want to become a mechanic and open my own auto repair garage. This time, I will not leave my school without a diploma in hand.
According to a report on the situation of children in Tunisia, there are some 102,000 dropouts in the country. This study was conducted and published by the Observatory of Information, Training, Documentation and Studies on the Protection of the Rights of the Child at the Ministry of Women, Family, Children and Seniors. More than 1,200 early school leavers who have been outside the school system for at least a year have joined the Second Chance School in the capital city Tunis. The Education and Vocational Training departments will inaugurate 3 additional schools in different cities across the country.
The second Ramadan, Palestinian residents in Gaza are welcoming the holy month in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic that has created economic, social and health problems around the world. Many in Gaza are experiencing extreme poverty, some fighting for the least livelihood. Those who could help with increased unemployment rate and poverty of more than 50%. Palestinians rely mostly on food from the international community. This year, the Algerian Palestinian Initiative has instituted a program to help basic aid for those in need during the whole month of Ramadan. This would ensure Palestinian families are provided with enough resources and food during the holy month of sacrifice, fasting, prayers, and charitable work. A wonderful job. When we return, international news. India now world's second most COVID-19 infected country, surpassing Brazil. And later, sport. Odion Igalot boycotts social media over racism.
You are watching ANN.
Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments. and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. India has recorded the world's highest daily cases of coronavirus infections with 161,736. This brings the country's total COVID-19 cases to nearly 14 million cases. In the past week, India has recorded more than 130,000 cases a day, pushing Brazil and the United States just behind. Experts say the past belief that the pandemic was over is returning to haunt the country. In September, many concluded the worst had passed. Masks and social distancing were abandoned, while the government gave mixed signals about the level of risk. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has again advised people to wear masks because of the alarming rise in infections. Meanwhile, the pandemic has forced millions into unemployment, homelessness, and hunger in Brazil. Those living on the streets face an increased risk of catching the disease. As a result, the homeless are being offered vaccines in Sao Paulo. Correspondent Paulo Cabra has the story.
Daverson Valente lost his sister, Janaína Valente, to COVID-19 back in December. Now he comes from time to time with his son to the home where Janaína lived with 2 teenage children in a poor suburb of São Paulo to bring them food, to help them get by in these difficult times of the pandemic and unemployment. A recent study found COVID-19 unevenly distributed across São Paulo, with the highest death rates in the poor areas, among people with less access to healthcare and living in conditions that make social distancing more difficult too.
We used data of COVID-19 related deaths in 2020 and demonstrated that people are at much higher risk of being killed by the disease if they are black or of mixed race, if they live in neighborhoods with many slums, if they have less formal education, and if they live in households with an average of 5 or more people in the same house.
This does not surprise me. The region where I live is near the Brasilândia slum, and that's where is the highest number of COVID cases in São Paulo. We have to keep on fighting and hope this pandemic will go away. We never thought we would have to live through this. This is destroying the world, and many people still think it's not serious. This is very serious.
Kaique and Breno say after their mother felt the first symptoms, she was afraid of the care she'd be given at the public hospital in their neighborhood.
My mum cried in the hospital and she said she did not want to stay there. She told our oldest sister, who took her to the hospital, that she believed she was going to die there.
I didn't believe it would be so serious. I thought it would be just a matter of going to the hospital, taking the meds, and that everything would be okay, as it was in other times when she was sick. That day she was hospitalized, I never thought it would be something as serious as it was.
More than 350,000 people have died from COVID-19 in Brazil. It's become a healthcare tragedy for millions of people in a country coping with social inequalities, where many realize the poorer they are, the more likely they are to feel the pain.
Protesters have clashed with police for the second night in the U.S. city of Minneapolis after police killed a 20-year-old black man during a traffic stop. Police have called the shooting to death of Dawn's Bright as an accidental discharge and that the officer was going for a taser, not a handgun. The shooting has caused unrest in an area already on edge because of the trial of the first of 4 police officers charged over last year's killing of another black man, George Floyd. Hundreds of protesters faced off against police in Brooklyn Center after nightfall on Monday, hours after dusk to dawn curfew was announced by the governor. When the protesters refused to disperse, police began firing tear gas canisters. Brooklyn Center Mayor Mike Elliott says he understands the anger but calls for calm. Japan has approved a plan to release into the sea more than 1 million tons of contaminated water from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear plant. The water will be treated and diluted so radiation levels are below those set for drinking water. Like China and South Korea, the local fishing industry has strongly opposed the move. But Tokyo says work to release water used to cool nuclear fuel will begin in about 2 years. The final approval comes after years of debate and is expected to take decades to complete. Reactor buildings at the Fukushima power plant were damaged by hydrogen explosions caused by an earthquake and tsunami in 2011. More than 1 million tons of water have been used to cool the melted reactors.
Up next, sports. Odion Igalo to boycott social media over racism. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow the story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, former Manchester United striker Odion Igalo has decided on a collective boycott of social media to put an end to online abuse. Igalo says boycotting the social media is going to change things by bringing sanity and peace to football. He would gladly do it. The contractor handling the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, has announced that the facility will become operational and ready to host football and other sporting activities next month. Executive Director of the firm, architect Adeniji Adesoji, told journalists that the grass imported from Europe, which will be planted this week, will be lush green by the end of this month. Adesoji revealed that the COVID-19 pandemic delayed the contract's completion date. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a great evening.